हम बात कर रहे हैं सॉफ्टवेयर इंडस्ट्री इन पाकिस्तान पे, और आज हमारे साथ एक रशियन जेंटलमैन आइगोर बैख्टिन हैं जो कॉलवियर कंपनी के बिजनेस डेवलपमेंट मैनेजर हैं, और उनके साथ पाकिस्तानी कंपनी जो कोलैबोरेट करी उनके साथ उनके सैयद हमजा मतीन साहब हैं. थैंक्स फॉर ब्रिंगिंग योर बिजनेस टू पाकिस्तान. वी विश यू वेरी गुड लक हियर, and with partners like Mr. Matin, I'm sure you will do well. Igor, before we come to your thing, what I want to come out from this program is to see where we are standing in terms of overall software industry. What are the potentials here? How many jobs can be created with the efforts of collaboration like yours? So, with your permission, I would like to start with Mr. Matin.
Absolutely.
Mr. Matin, give us an overview of the software industry in Pakistan. Where we are standing, especially like cricket, we are very much keen to know where we stand in competition to India.
Yes.
We know that India has taken a big stride with in the last 20-30 years. We are probably no more close to them, but still we are a fighting nation, you know.
Yes, yes.
In cricket, if we can fight in software as well.
Okay. That's great. Basically, if you look at the Indian model, they have been very successful last 10-15 years. And then one of the
what is the total export they're doing in terms of?
I think it's in 30 billion.
30
plus.
billion.
Excellent.
Which is more than our total export for the whole country.
Yes, definitely.
Just from IT.
Just from IT. And that had happened only in last 15 years.
15 years?
15
I thought
years.
it was longer.
No, it's actually started in last 15-20 years. And the reason for that, because at the time the PC revolution was going on, the internet was opening up, a lot of outsourcing was going in, and they were able to position themselves, and they invested rightly, in the right way. They market themselves rightly. They had a very good network of our expat community. Although we have left, left behind in that scenario, but technology is ever-changing thing. So although we are even fraction, maybe the figures are like 200 to 250 million US, and if you
our figure is 250 million US.
Yes.
At the moment.
Yes, but
compared
if you,
to 30 billion of.
Yes, that 30 billion they also include the remittance from the IT workforce which goes out.
I see.
So if you take that in account, so our industry over $2 billion, you can say that.
Right.
Yes, if you account for the services are included, because there's a certain criteria where you there is no shipment, there is no cargo movement. There is very hard
to
see
anything.
Yes,
through the internet it comes.
It goes.
Bits and bytes over the wires.
Yes.
That's process.
Definitely. So the only way we could compete and do something worthwhile, I think, is to bank on the next technology revolution.
I see. That's a very bright idea.
Yeah, and see where we can chip in, because technology can change any time, and companies can
What you're saying is that even if we were left behind in
Yes.
several stages of the technology,
Yes,
where India took the lead,
Yes.
but technology keeps on changing.
Yes.
Even if you become a big expert in one particular technology,
Yes.
If the next technology comes and you cannot catch up, then you're lost.
You're lost.
Exactly.
You have to be.
Exactly.
You have to be proactive and see what's coming up. Maybe nanotechnology, biotechnology, something like mobile, applications. Anything can really change the whole scenario. Microsoft 20 years back was one of the inspiring growing company, but these days they're having a hard time competing with these Googles and Amazons of this world, and iPhone and Apple, because of the technology change. So they have to cope up very quickly with those changes.
This is one industry where there's no scope for sleeping or company.
Yeah, you cannot. It's the one of the fastest moving industry.
You cannot just rest anywhere.
You cannot
You
rest.
have to keep running to be in the race.
Definitely.
You are gone.
You have to be on your toes and look around all the way. So for Pakistan, I think one of the key areas was collaboration with international companies, and I think that is the area we should have been focusing for last decade now. So if we have done that, that would really help us, could have helped us bringing more jobs in Pakistan and providing.
That's where Mr. Igor Bakhtin comes. Mr. Matin, welcome to our show.
Thank you.
To our country. As Mr. Matin said, it is the collaboration which will bring in the business. The Indians also did not do it alone. I remember when I was in Emirates, one British colleague of ours left along with an Indian colleague, and they started a software company way back in 84, 85. I'm talking about a very long time. And what they were trying to do was they were the development guys. So they said, the thing which we are doing sitting in Abu Dhabi, we can do much cheaper in Bangalore. And then they created a company, and that company became very, very big success.
Absolutely.
So it's always two things joining. What's the background of your company and what you are doing at the moment? What software you have developed, which you are trying to market here?
The background of my company is somewhat complicated. It's a company that came to be because some like-minded people from the United Kingdom and from Russia got talking about the software industry, and it emerged from their conversation that there is a niche in the banking software market yet to be filled, a niche that required software products giving the users, especially the business users, a lot of empowerment so that a bank or another type of financial institution would not have to go back to the vendor and ask for modifications to the software where some change has occurred in the environment, be that legal environment, economic environment, or whatever. And that is exactly the kind of software they set out to develop. The British side,
the challenge for ex-Soviet Union countries,
among others,
among others, process was changing.
Yeah, among others. In the ex-USSR countries, yes, change was a daily occurrence because it's probably very typical of the Russian mentality. We first destroyed everything we had. The economy, the military, everything was torn down.
Very tragic part of human history.
Exactly.
Whenever I think of that, 90s to 2000,
late 80s, early 90s, horrible time for Russia. And
that's not the way to change.
No,
it would have changed gradually.
No, absolutely. But that's the way the powers that be chose to do it at that particular point in time. So what happened was that the economy was destroyed, the military was destroyed, the education system was destroyed, the health service was destroyed, social safety network was no longer there, and then they started building things from scratch. And because things were built from scratch, a lot of things had to be invented. And
that's the
it was trial and error method that was applied at that time. So a piece of legislation would be introduced to regulate banking, for example, then a couple of months later they would start making changes to that legislation. And change was a daily occurrence. This change made at the level of national law would then be multiplied by a huge factor through various sorts of circulars, regulations issued by the central bank and other regulatory bodies, and banks had to survive in that environment. The economic environment kept changing at a similar pace as things got privatized, rules of play changed, everything kept changing. So banks and other financial institutions in those type of circumstances needed systems that could be easily adapted to the change by the business users themselves. And that is exactly the kind of system that this newly established company set out to develop. The finance came from the UK side. Banking technology came from the UK side because a consulting firm in the City of London was hired to define the business requirements. But all the IT skills came from the Russian and the rest of ex-USSR side because those type of skills came out of the defense industries.
I see.
Doing nothing. They were quite a few of those people emigrated at the time, but those who stayed were looking for jobs. And company founders leveraged that quite successfully. So that's basically the kind of company we are.
That's how you were able to produce not only a very high quality, latest sort of technology, but also competitive one. Because Western software packages are available everywhere.
Yes.
So you have to compete with that as well.
Yes, we are competing.
So price-wise also you are competitive.
Let's put it this way. Price was certainly competitive. And when talking about, let's say, global competition potentially so far with India, you mentioned price. Price is a big consideration, and
yes.
that is something that again you can leverage. I read maybe a month and a half ago in the business press that a lot of big names were leaving India and looking for other homes because India is becoming too expensive.
Oh.
It's almost costs more to rent office space in Mumbai than it does in New York. So what's the point?
Karachi is much cheaper.
Exactly. So that is certainly another thing you can leverage. But our advantage is, of course, price, because our cost base is much, much lower. For example, in one area where we are competing quite vigorously, and that's post office software, we have probably our biggest competitor that is based in Ireland.
I see.
And their cost base is by a large factor bigger than ours. So what they're offering is probably a fraction of what we offer, yet they offer it at higher price.
Mr. Matin, that gives us a very good advantage here. With this kind of technological brain, of course, we cannot say anything about Russian brain. These are people who put human outside space in the first instance, and we can say far behind. So their scientific skills cannot be challenged. And with their cheaper, because of the economy went down and everything, they're available quite reasonably. And if we can bring people like you together, I think we can get a very good winning team.
That's exactly what we are doing.
Exactly.
For the region, not only for Pakistan, all the regions.
Comparatively in Pakistan, the infrastructure is still cheaper, you think? As he mentioned about Bombay.
Yes,
certainly.
But is not Bangalore the major place for...
Bangalore is, and it's
but
as expensive.
That's also become very expensive. I see. But comparatively, I think Pakistan is much cheaper, affordable.
It is.
Yes,
and in terms of salaries and everything also, I think we are better. So what you two people are doing together? I know Igor has chosen you as his partner here. So how much success you have? Have you sold his software to banks and other institutions so far?
Because at the moment we're working on localization of the software. The first thing, let me add, is which inspired us to partner with them, is their technology and the level of software. It's very extensive, very meticulous, and it's based on great level of certification. So the only thing they needed was localization in this region. We are partnering where we do maybe doing projects in the Middle East, in North Africa and Asia with them, and we have signed up to provide all support, help desk, backfill, outsourcing services for their solution in the region from Pakistan. And this has actually will create a lot of jobs here. It will create a lot of synergies. Once we have that, then the first thing we are doing is a localization of their solutions. One of them, it is developing Islamic banking solution.
I see, okay. You know about Islamic banking?
Yes. By now, I know quite a bit. I'm not an expert.
The market demands that. So
exactly,
whether you go to Middle East or Pakistan,
yes,
even in Malaysia and other places.
If I may add something to what Mr. Matin has just said, localizing the software is one thing we need to do before addressing actually the local market in terms of selling. But there is another very important aspect. We want this country to become our hub. First for Pakistan,
very welcome news for us.
Then for the Middle East and other English-speaking regions primarily. And in order to achieve that, we need to build a lot of local capacity. That's what we are doing. We've already done one round of training. We are planning a lot more. It will be more intensive, more extensive. Bigger numbers of people will be involved from our two local partners, EDP Services and THK, EDP as regional partner and THK as channel partner for Pakistan in particular. And once we have built that capacity, we expect the local team with little or no assistance from our side, from the central R&D etc. function, to be capable of doing all the implementations on site, and then providing all the on-site and second line, as they describe, support as may be needed. Providing help desk services in Urdu where required, maybe in other local languages.
In Arabic also.
So when you talk about the hub as a local area hub, what is the definition of this area? Pakistan, Middle East, Africa, or...
Let us say the definition is quite loose at this stage.
Okay,
we tend, among other things, to rely on our partners here as the source of English language skills.
Okay,
that's every country that
that's
speaks
another advantage
English,
you have, isn't it?
Exactly.
Thanks to the British rule, we are very good in English actually.
So every country that speaks English is a potential market. UK, the home of the language. Because once we have...
The company started there, you go back there.
Exactly. Once we have the Islamic banking version of our system, that we intend to try and sell in the UK as well and other parts of Europe.
Because UK is a very
big market in Islam.
Exactly.
That's the advantage, because being based in UK, the biggest financial capital of the world, they have access to knowledge. They have to function consultant, domain related to banking. That has a lot of value. And having somebody from this region will really add good to the mix.
And of course, we expect to sell the Islamic banking of the version of the system in the ex-USSR as well, because there are a number of Islamic countries there, and in Russia itself, there are a number of regions which are Islamic, and are now beginning to look for Islamic banking paradigm.
In Dubai, have you already established an office?
We are in the process of
establishing. We are in the process of establishing.
So initially, it will be all the technical people will be sitting in Dubai, Pakistan.
Yes.
Not initially. That will stay that way.
Yes.
Dubai will be
sales and marketing.
Yes.
From there, you can look after the whole of Middle East and
Yes,
Africa.
definitely.
Africa is a very big market, actually.
It is.
People normally do not.
These days it is a bit trouble.
Yeah, and it is developing quite fast.
The northern part, there is a southern part as well.
Yeah, and they're developing fast.
In bank, I had an opportunity to be looking at Middle East and Africa, and extensively traveled in Africa. Countries like South Africa, Kenya, Zimbabwe. These are very big markets, actually. They need, and again, because of their underdevelopment, they cannot afford very expensive. So they need something, which is like product like yours. So that's where you can look at it. How much people you hope to employ by with Colvir?
Okay, that's something which is very hard to say right now. Because just to give you an example, once we decided to launch a product in Pakistan, and we needed a partner who has experience to implement sizable number of branches in a bank. For typically we went for THK Solutions. THK Solution has a very good record of implementing a solution for, like, say 500, 600 branches. So for one bank you need 200 at least resources, consultants.
200 people required to service one bank?
One bank, or in the region, in one region you can say. And that includes the techies, that includes the functional consultants, that includes the support staff, the help desk, the other areas also. Because all the first level, second level will be done here, but the third level core kernel, the main technology will still come from the Russian side.
We have to take a break here.
Okay.
नाज़रीन, हम लेंगे यहाँ पे एक छोटा सा
irresistibly fresh.
नाज़रीन, वेलकम बैक। हम बात कर रहे हैं सॉफ्टवेयर इंडस्ट्री इन पाकिस्तान पे, और आज हमारे साथ एक रशियन जेंटलमैन आइगोर बैख्टिन हैं, जो कॉल्वियर कंपनी के बिजनेस डेवलपमेंट मैनेजर हैं, और उनके साथ पाकिस्तानी कंपनी जो कोलैबोरेट करी उनके साथ उनके सैयद हमजा मतीन साहब हैं। ये हमें बता रहे हैं कि हम पाकिस्तान में क्या पोटेंशियल है सॉफ्टवेयर इंडस्ट्री की, ये कितनी बड़ी वर्ल्ड वाइड इंडस्ट्री है। इंडिया इससे $30 बिलियन कमा रहा है इस वक्त। हमारी अगर हम बाहर के एक्सपोर्ट्स को भी काउंट कर लें, जो लोग पाकिस्तानी बाहर के लिए काम कर रहे हैं सबको भी, तो 2 बिलियन के करीब हम पहुंचे हैं। मतीन साहब हमें एक खुश खबरी ये सुना रहे हैं कि ठीक है, हम इस रेस में हम इंडिया से और कुछ मुल्कों से पीछे रह गए, लेकिन इस रेस की खूबी यह है कि हर थोड़े दिन पे इसके गोल्स बदलते रहते हैं। इसके टेक्नोलॉजी इतनी तेजी से तब्दील होती है कि अगर कोई पिछले रेसेस में जीतता भी रहा है तो अगली रेस में वो फिर से शामिल होकर बहुत आगे निकल सकता है। और उस पर मतीन साहब जैसे यंग इंथुजियास्टिक प्रोफेशनल बिलीव करते हैं कि पाकिस्तान स्टिल हैज अ चांस, पाकिस्तान will try its best to take that chance. Matin sir, I will come back to you again. For the general public, give us some assessment of the total IT business in the world. We talked about India, but India and Pakistan, okay, is a regional issue. But how much is the total business, and how much India is having now? All percentage we are having.
Oh, that's mind-boggling, actually. It's trillion.
So 30 billion is
nothing.
I see. For us, it looks so big.
It looks big. Even single companies. One of our partners who are working in Singapore is CSC Corporation. They have a single company have more sales than total export of Pakistan.
20?
Yeah, one IT company. has more export, more business than total combined export of Pakistan. If you take all the resources from Karachi to Khyber, every factory, every textile. Let's take an example of textile. What's the textile export last year? I presume like 17 something. All the resources there, count the labor, count using, and they're just producing 17. And the market itself is like 10 times, 20 times, 100 times more than that. The potential is enormous because this is
the technological capacity to do this.
Okay.
With
the biggest advantage that has the human resource.
100 million people,
more than 50,
young people.
Yeah, 50%, more than 50 and less.
And
that could be done.
Capacity can be built.
That's capacity building. That's using the resource. You just need to give them right environment, right technology,
and education.
And they can. That's it.
See, younger girls, people do not know. They don't. Like you said, 1 trillion. I didn't know 1 trillion. I thought it was maybe 100 billion market.
Yes.
I talking about 1,000 billion.
Yes, 1,000 billion.
And
Indian
Indian
more,
achievement is actually nothing.
Nothing.
And as you hear, and look at 10, 20, 30 billion exports.
Yes, we can.
Dream or
no. It's because I can compare the figures. It's hard facts, 1, 2, 3. Because if you rightly place yourself, do the marketing right, and maybe take the steps which other countries have done. Search in India, Taiwan, China, and the critical factors were like their expat community and their marketing and their human resource training. If you combine that all right, you can click. And there is a lot of potential. If you miss out on one opportunity, you miss out on one technology, you can come in the second decade and do that because the population is there. Mr. Igor, he's been traveling all over the world. He has seen, all, I think, 7 continents of the world, and he's interacting in Vietnam, in Bangladesh, in Europe, and Eastern Europe, and America. Ask him how he felt about the quality of human resource.
Great pleasure to hear.
First of all,
we Pakistanis talk about ourselves very big.
Let's take it, just give us the right.
I must say that I was very pleased with the environment I found here. I did various things like lots of police in the streets, etc. And mind you,
that's a passing stage.
I know.
I'm sure
I've even been to Peshawar.
It is of economic opportunities not being there. People like Mr. Matin he talks about 30 billion export of one company. Suppose we set our eyes at 30 billion, and people like him can jobs.
Absolutely.
All these extremism will go away.
Yes.
It is not restricted in location.
Yes, you can move.
You can do this in Peshawar. You can do it in
anywhere.
Anywhere.
Communications,
you just need a broadband and computers.
Yes.
We have lots and lots of people, especially ladies, sitting at home.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
But nobody's stopping them to have a computer in the home. They can train them. Word processing. These are also large businesses.
Exactly.
And they can do it at home and send it to them, and they can supervise it and send it away.
Sure.
And then dollar is just coming in.
Absolutely. What I meant was that leaving all those extraneous things aside, they are not the key issue. I found the environment doing business, and that primarily relates back to the same thing, the human environment. I found the people very professional, very friendly, very open-minded. There are a lot of countries you go to where people have some ingrained prejudices. To give you an example, you say Russian technology, Russian technical skills are great. I've been to a country where, in my previous job, I was working for a Russian software company, where this was the big stumbling block. People did not want to know about Russian software.
Only American.
And there was a great rejoinder that my first customer in that country, and by the way it was Vietnam, used, when asked by his colleagues from other banks, why did you buy Russian software? He said, and what should I have bought? They said, well, there's all that great American software, European software. He said, in our industry, there is no American software, there is no European software.
This is only 10.
You scratch the surface. It is all Indian software. Are you trying to tell me that Indian technology is superior to Russian technology? And that was the end of conversation.
India has never invented anything.
Exactly.
Everything's outsourced.
After zero.
Yes.
Exactly. So, that there are no prejudices. People are open-minded. People are prepared to consider anything as long a business proposition is good for the country, is good for the industry, is good for the company. That's great. So dealing with Mr. Hamza, dealing with his colleagues from THK, our other partner, I really doing my job. Because sometimes you go to a country, you negotiate with a company, there are all sorts of undercurrents.
You
you are doing your job and that is it. You're not enjoying it. I love coming to Pakistan. I love dealing with EDP Services. I love dealing with THK. They are great people. They're very professional, very knowledgeable, and I assume the rest of companies will be coming into contact with are like that. And I've had quite a few encounters in the banking IT community exactly the same. Very friendly, unprejudiced, open-minded, knowledgeable, and professional. So I think there is huge potential there.
Up to now, how many banks you have been able to make presentation to? These banking softwares are already there for the last 30, 40 years. And their packages, I've been a banker, so I know, ready-made packages which can be just bought in and listing things, and also quality and price-wise. What kind of reaction you got?
Okay. I've so far had the chance to talk, was it 5 or 6 banks?
Yes.
Every time we talked to the bank's people at some length, had a chance to make a presentation, the response we drew was extremely positive. We made a presentation and demonstration, actual product demonstration, at one bank, not in Karachi, in another city, in Pakistan. And we were, I think, one of the 20 or so bidders making their presentations. We were the last of the last but one, and we were told that what they saw in our demonstration was the best, most flexible and comprehensive system they've ever seen. So we do believe that we compare very favorably against any leading competitor in the market, whether that competitor has an Indian name or some other name, doesn't really matter. We compare very favorably because, for one thing, most of the products in the market, as you rightly say, have been around for maybe 20, even 30 years. In some cases, there have been lots of facelifts, but underneath the surface, they're still very old technology. And one thing that means is that they're very rigid and inflexible, very difficult to adapt, very little user empowerment. Everything has to be done by IT people, and in a lot of cases, not just the bank's IT people, but vendors' IT. Which makes it very difficult for the bank.
You call them, they don't cut their come.
Exactly.
And your system is stuck. And,
so that's one way we, I believe, compare very favorably. On the other hand, because our cost base is much, much lower than that of most of our competitors, we are very competitively priced, and what is more important probably at this stage in our selling campaign in Pakistan, we are prepared to be extremely flexible to gain first a presence, a foot through the door, and then market share.
So Igor, I wish you very
Thank
good.
you very much.
You can rest assured that Pakistan and Russia had a very old relationship. We are neighbors. We have no prejudices against you. We love your technology. We thank Russian scientists for putting man in space. And there is no dispute that you technologically are with. And with the collapse of the economy and then the rebuilding, you have become competitive,
yes,
which is an advantage.
Yes, it is. At the end of the day,
we also have 100 million people here looking for jobs. We have leaders like Mr. Matin. I think this synergy will work very well.
Absolutely.
And we will win the regional market share for that. And for us, for people like me, the good thing would be that jobs would be created, and all these troubles which you see in our country will be wiped out. Once we start giving jobs to our people. Once the people get good jobs, they will not work for Taliban anymore.
That's what I'm saying. You're also contributing as a journal, in promoting this thought. I really acknowledge that.
And it's our duty. And with this, what probably will come out from this is with the vision you showed us about 1 trillion. This is a huge cake. Let's go and get some of it.
Exactly.
We have all the ingredients, as you said. We have cheaper land, cheaper building, cheaper infrastructure. We have very cheap manpower comparatively, and we have very competitive partners like the Russians. And we can do it very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you
you're
very
most
much.
welcome, and you're welcome to the channel again, and Mr. Matin also. Keep up the good work. नाज़रीन, सॉफ्टवेयर इंडस्ट्री इन पाकिस्तान पे हमारी गुफ्तगू आपने सुनी. आई होप कि इससे हमारे जवानों को हिम्मत होगी कि हमारे पास अभी बड़ी पोटेंशियल है, एक बहुत बड़ी मार्केट है और इसको हम टैप करेंगे. हमजा जैसे बेहतरीन लीडर्स हमारे पास हैं, वो हमें रास्ता दिखाएंगे और हमारे बच्चों को बहुत वेल पेड जॉब मिलेगी और इंशाल्लाह हमारा मुल्क बहुत आगे जाएगा. इसी के साथ आज का प्रोग्राम खत्म करता हूँ. खुदा हाफिज.